get them in the evening too. I get the blues in the morning. How about you? I get that lonely, lonely feeling they call it New London Blue. I get the lonely, lonely feeling they call it New London Blue.
Good evening and welcome to LOT this February 12th, 2016, as we're quickly getting through the month. I'm Andrew Lockwood, co-chair of LOT. We just had our elections last week. Well, take that back. We just had them a couple nights ago. See, I'm a day or two off because with all this snow, I've been out in the snow playing around and kind of lost my mind. But anyhow, congratulations to Judy. We have a new co-chair. Dennis Downing decided to take a little time off. He's been working really hard for LOT for the last few years, and he needs a little breather. It won't be a long one because we're going to force him tonight to get back on the stick. We got some important roles for Dennis to do and accomplish. And speaking of that, we need active role members in New London because this year we're going to be on the charge. We're going to talk about a few of those issues tonight with taxes, what the council's doing, what the school board's doing. And for $10, your money is wisely spent. It goes to help us if we have to do petitions or if we have to go out to events and stir the pot a little bit about tax issues and school board issues. So please join us, $10. Come down to the meetings. We're working on a new plan here this year where you can actually perhaps later on this year, be able to call into a meeting if you can't attend so you can be focused on what's going on. I'll be addressing that in the next couple of meetings to see if we can afford to do that and get it where if you're one of our senior members and aren't able to get out, you can still find out what's going in, call in, and voice your opinion, which would be a big help for a lot. Okay, what else do we have?
Where do they meet?
Oh, yeah. So,
and when?
See, I'm being grilled already by my co-host tonight. The ex-chair is like getting on my case because they want me to, I got to step it up this year as being the senior chair of the two of us. So it's the second and last Wednesday of the month at the Senior Center. Come on down. We meet there from 7 to 9. What? We're going to have Dennis come in and step in here in a minute because he's crunching me from the sidelines. So, but second and fourth Wednesday of the month. You can come down to the Senior Center, 7 to 9 o'clock. Things that might be bothering you. This year we're really going to get back on to having a lot of members of the society come down from the school board, city council, other prestigious areas of the town and talk about issues that affect your wallet. And, we might not have to be a big force on the taxes. We might have to be a bigger force on something else that we're going to be talking about tonight in just a few minutes here. But first, let's invite in Dennis. Please call in tonight and thank Dennis for his service, 860-440-3154. He'll be taking bows all night. He's not a member until a couple minutes when I force him to pay his dues to reunite again. So Diane will see it on TV, so she'll know it's here. So welcome, Dennis Downing.
Thank you very much. Thank you
You're
very much.
supposed to be on this side answering the phones and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not a paid member right now.
You better pay up, man.
All right, since you've twisted my arm.
See, folks, it's this easy. $10, and you get a voice.
And I get to
opinion.
vote, and I get to upset people on the board if I don't like what they're talking about.
Right.
But there's my dues, Andy.
Thank you, sir.
And with that, I have something for you.
Uh-oh.
This is not a giver. This is a loaner.
A loaner.
This
yes,
is from.
Next year, hopefully you'll take it back.
No, this is from one of the longest-running members of LOT, him and his wife, Larry and Barbara Hampel.
Wow. Now, this is an honor to have. End the block. So now, at the meeting, you guys will be able
And
to
you
hear
better
me loud
use
and
it.
clear. I will plan
And
on
also, there's a whole bunch of paperwork about LOT.
you know what? I think, folks, I should have skipped the show tonight.
No. I would have found you. I would have hunted you down.
You've been hunting me down all week to make sure I come. Okay.
But yes, I decided to take a little pause. It's a it can be a tough job. I mean, it's a small group right now. It's been huge. It's been small. It's been in between. Usually, when there's a lot going on, is when you have your best membership. Except for this time, for some reason. I don't even know if I want to get into that. And it can be a frustrating job too. You're dealing with people that you like tremendously. And sometimes those meetings can just be, hilarious.
Yeah.
And there's times when they can be very serious.
Yep.
And there's some people in the group, probably most of them, they're dedicated to that. Judy, for instance, I thought that was a great choice for a co-chair. If you had asked me a month ago, would she do it? I wouldn't have thought so, but because she's a very busy lady also.
Oh, absolutely.
And she also, I think she's still teaching in the system.
Yep.
So, for her to step up was a big step. I like it. I think the two of you will probably make
As she quoted, I believe she's still mad at me when she left that night. And I didn't nominate her, but I'm the guy who's getting the heat for it. So.
But she stepped up.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Even though she has stuff going on in her life, which, the lot group does take some time out of what you normally be doing, but you're doing it because you love your city. You're doing it because you don't want to see people getting hurt here. And you bust your butt trying to get people involved, because if people aren't going to get involved, then you start to feel like, well, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But people hang in there. Judy's been a long-time member, and I think it's going to be a good mix. I think you two ought to do really well together.
Well, I think that, LOT, no matter what, is sticking up for the people and the citizens in London. A lot of people say, oh, well, renters don't pay taxes. This one don't pay taxes. That's untrue. Everybody pays taxes, even if it's behind the scene. If you're renting, you're paying a landlord in his rent some type of tax. And they should be more vocal on what's going on, because it does affect them.
Yeah, I've found that usually when people get more vocal, it's when it hits them personally.
Oh, absolutely.
And I guess right now what's going on in this city just ain't hitting enough people.
Well, it seems like the city right now, to me anyways, Dennis, after the election's kind of in a lull. Nothing really,
I think a lot of people are sitting back waiting to see
what happens.
Yeah, what's going on. And so far what I've seen is I've seen things being brought up that were brought up in the past. Some of it voted down by the people. And they're bringing it back. I don't know if they're bringing it back because they feel like, well, now that we're a dominating democratic city,
right.
that we can be able to push anything through. And nobody's going to be able to oppose us.
What's kind of amazing, though? If we look at New London compared to Hartford, compared to the federal government, the federal government at one time, recently, 4 years back, had supermajority. They could have got anything passed, and the Democrats couldn't agree then to get things passed.
Yeah, well, you also had the Republicans that got voted in,
right.
almost on a landslide type of vote, and they got in there with promises of doing all kinds of things, and they ended up doing nothing.
Right. It's that's the terrible thing on both sides. Get in there, stop the arguing on it from New London to Hartford to the federal government. Get in there, stop the argument, and get things accomplished. The American people are hurting. That's why these candidates right now that are not your
Professional politicians,
professional traditional politicians that tell you what you want to hear and do what they want when they get in, are finally getting some people, some rise of the people, because people are showing that they're ticked off.
Yeah, and I don't blame them. I'm ticked off.
And the political correctness has been going on for years. People are more happy now to hear people talk differently about things that are going on than sitting there and saying, well, we really can't say that because somebody's going to get offended. You know what? When you're spending people's money, and we talked about this yesterday before the show, why aren't more people ticked off in New London? So to stir the pot tonight, one of the things that we've already kind of discussed in a meeting, in the election meeting is, it's terrible. Our kids need more money and more help, Dennis.
Well,
no, the school board has announced they need another raise this year.
They need
and
a
it's
raise
for
every
the kids.
year. They need
and
a
it's
raise
for
every
the
year.
kids, Dennis.
But yet it doesn't get spent.
But it's for the kids, Dennis.
If there's people out there, and I'm one of them, that think if you show me a good reason why you need the money, I have no problem with that. If you show me results from the money, I have no problem with that. If you show me that what they got last year, and then this year they got an increase, and you show me that increase was put to good use and is producing, I have no problem with that. But when you're not showing me anything, when you put out a budget that you say, well, look, you got to read the budget. Well, if I read the budget, then maybe I can vote on it, or however that saying goes. But don't just put down a bunch of stuff and say, well, yeah, we spent it this. Show me you spent it on that. Anybody can write down anything.
Well, not only that, if it's for the kids, let's make it in areas that are for the kids. Not
Exactly.
for more administration, more top plate heavy laid down money in all areas that do nothing for the kids.
Now,
And the sad thing is, they're using the kids just to get this money every time. Every time it's for the kids, for the kids, for the kids. And right afterwards, we're hearing how it doesn't go to the kids. It goes to administration. It goes to, teachers. Eric Parnes made a point the other night. More teachers are leaving this year. They're fed up with the situation. We're administrative top heavy. One good thing is for all you folks that are sitting on the Board of Education, believe it or not, you were taped when you were running, and we have that tape at LOT. And if we have to air it, Dennis, to nauseum of their promises that they made that they're already not keeping, I think it'd be a good thing.
but who you gonna play that for? Who are you gonna talk to?
Well, maybe the people that didn't come to that LOT debate start seeing it on our show here. Maybe 15 minutes before the prefects, let's put it on and let them see what they promised everybody they were going to do that they're not doing.
If you can edit it to certain people that made their promises, and then show that they're not fulfilling their promises, that's a powerful statement, and that should be shown.
Right, and that's why this time people
Along with
asked.
this council, don't give the council a
council as well.
pass.
Because you know what? That's why we taped it in the beginning. So when they were all on there making these promises, and they can now do their normal, I never said that. We have it on CD where it says, yes, you did.
In this time with the way things are going, and with taxes going up, things being cut, you have levels of richness in this city, in this state, this country. And when you're above that effective rate, where what's going on isn't really affecting you, or very little, you're not as concerned. Or you may believe, well, that's a good idea. But then when it changes, because it's gradually going up, I really believe it's going to get to the point where there's a lot more people are going to get hit. And eventually
right.
It's going to be in layers. And once those people get hit, now they're not happy no more.
Right.
Now they want to fight. Now they don't agree with what's going on or agree with what they're paying for. Now they want to see results. Now they're talking, well, geez, I voted for you to find ways to cut stuff without, hurting people with the least amount you can. There's stuff out there you can cut. There's stuff we don't need right now. You got to prioritize it. If you have $32 million and that's what you got for the year, well, then you got to, as a council and a Board of Ed member, you got to look at that and decide, well, okay, we can't do this year. We can't do this year. This is very important. And I don't know if they do that. It doesn't seem like they do.
I have said for years, I believe the way the city of New London builds their budget is they decide what they want, and they create the taxes to make up what they want. Not what they can afford. They're going to get what they want, and it's going to be on the back of the taxpayers. Certain amount of people here do not pay taxes. And there's...
You said that, Ron. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but because we've gone round and round. We used to say that a lot, and people that were renters were getting offended. And they do pay some kind of taxes, but
Well, there's a lot of nonprofits.
there's a
that
lot
pay
of
no
different.
taxes.
There's some people that are paying a lot more taxes for a lot more
Absolutely.
things than other people.
Right.
Now, the people that are paying the least amount of taxes, they're there because of what has happened, before they got to that point. And this is what a lot of times what the message is that the group tries to send out is that just because you're not there now and you don't care, you may be there next week.
Well, also, here's Jeff Suppan that talked on our show before that said he believes that New London's not far from receivership.
A lot of people believe that.
And a lot of I've heard that buzz a lot more this year than I've heard in the past. That said, you know what, New London better hang on. They're on a very slippery slope to a dangerous area where they're not going to recover from.
There's a lot of stuff happening right now that if we're not careful and if something doesn't change, we're going to be paying out a lot of money. And a lot of it right now is circling around the school system,
Absolutely.
the all-magnet school system. I mean, how many times have people in the group preached about, well, right now they're sending their kids here and the state's paying for so much for the kids to come here. City pays so much, the hometown pays so much. Now, every time there's cuts, it means the hometown that's sending their kids here might not have enough money to send as many kids here. The state is paying for so many kids here. Now they cut back on that, which they're doing.
Right.
So that means that's many less kids that are going to get help to come here. But yet, on the same side of that, they're saying, well, for you to have your magnet school, you have to have a certain percentage of kids coming to the school.
Right.
Well, now if the state's tying your hands there, well, you can't have that many kids come. So now you're in a position where, in the beginning, the state would say, well, if you don't meet the requirements, we're not going to give you the money.
Right. So
So
they
now
tie your
they're
hands.
creating the situation to where they can say, well, we can't afford to give you
Right.
money.
You didn't make the quota. We don't have to pay you. It's on you and your taxpayers to come up with it.
So where are we now, folks? I mean, we're on the possible hook for over $168 million, which a lot of you voted for. I wasn't one of them. I don't think you were one of them.
I wasn't one of them.
Okay. That's one of the things people got to do when they go to vote is they got to really look at what they're voting for. It sounds good, like you say, oh, it's for the kids, it's for the kids. Everybody wants to be for the kids. We're hoping they're our future. We're hoping they're going to take care of us the way we
Right.
took care of them when they
I
were
have
young.
no problem, like you were saying earlier, I have no problem laying out tax dollars for the kids if it's directly going to help the kids. But this is the argument that ticks me off. They're using the kids for their other goals, which has nothing to do for the kids. It's a great argument to tell people it's for the kids, it's for the kids. And the other argument on that is people don't realize how much of the tax base goes to that school budget as it is. More than half goes to the school board as it is. More than half.
And not to mention the amount of, a lot of things, I think Dan McSparron brought this up one time. A lot of the money they get from the state, whether it's through grants or whatever, and if some of those grants could be federal grants, it's going through the state trickles it down to the city watches over a lot of it and gives it to the school when they need it. But what people got to realize is that as a city, like you say, it's over half our budget. So we're paying for that. The extra money that the schools get from the state, guess who's paying for that?
We are.
Again.
You're getting
And the money that
basically
they
double taxation.
And the money that they get, it gets better. And the money that they get from the federal government in grants, where do you think that money comes from?
Yeah, paying for it again.
So, triple taxation. And now, if you're a Republican in this city, you've got taxation without representation.
Absolutely.
Which, by the way, my wife looked up for me, and it has really nothing to do with the city. It's to do with that old Mother England. But still, it's, that should outrage the 13 or 1,400 Republicans we have in town? It outrages me.
Yeah,
But
I just don't.
what are you gonna do?
I'm with you, Dennis. Even Eric talked to me the other night after LOT for a few minutes, and he goes, Andy, what do we have to do to fire up people to get them out there to get fired up? They just don't.
I had someone, an old member, that was a member years ago, that's no longer a member, said the biggest problem LOT has is they need to get more and newer people in the group. Have we not been trying to do that?
Well, here again, once something comes up that really sticks in somebody's craw, we had the biggest membership group ever when we were fighting to save Riverside Park.
Yep.
Everybody and his brother was coming over paying $10, joining, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that. And all of you know who dropped off right afterwards. Half of you don't come to the meetings, half of you aren't members no more, half of you couldn't care. I said at the time, I would hate to see people using LOT for their own purpose just to get some agenda done.
But that happens with
But
everything.
you know what? I'm sure when something else gets very dicey again, we'll flood. I mean, the LOT group people, they work very hard. There's no compensation for it. We're all volunteers.
Yeah.
And, and I found this too in other groups that our memberships are. You always have the same core of busy bees while the other people show up and do nothing. And the ones that show up and do nothing usually complain about the people that are doing everything. And it does get frustrating for the people that are really out there trying hard to make some type of difference. But, it was kind of funny this weekend. I was at a Republican event, and this minister was there. And he said, you know what, I've never been partisan in my life. But he says, I see our country right now starting to fall apart. If Hillary was to get in, or if Bernie Sanders, he says, first to get in, this country has lost its constitution and we're back to England. Because this is my religion. This is what he told us his religious view is. He said the Republican Party has to get out the troops, and all the troops are lost, and be the torchbearer for the Constitution of the United States to save that sacred document. And it's time for everybody to get off their chair and stop being passive and make some type of voice. Get mad. Tell people, I'm not tolerating it no more. He says, and I hope that works out, because he goes, this country is in dire straits if it doesn't. People don't realize how good we've had
Some
it for years.
people that are comfortable just don't see it that way.
I know they don't.
But all it takes is a day. One day could change your whole comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be going, well, how did that happen? Duh.
Well, here's like kind of a little mini prime complaint example I have, okay? A couple years back, didn't have a lot of money. I was through my back surgeries and stuff, and I needed to get a get-around car. So I buy this $700, 152,000 mile Hyundai Elantra.
Did it have tires?
Yeah, actually, the lady, you know what? Seriously, though, sickening. The lady gave me a book bigger than yours with everything. She bought it new with everything she had done to it. I mean, this lady had it maintained like superstar. Oil changes every 1,500 miles. I was amazed. But she had bought a new Hyundai, and she wanted somebody. I explained my situation. She said, "You're the guy I want to have the car." Make a long story short, so go to motor vehicle to register the car. Give her the bill of sale. They go, "Oh no, sir, we control the taxes for the state of Connecticut. That car's worth $1,300." So I can't argue with motor vehicles. So I was like, "Well, I'll pay the tax on $1,300." However, now though, the city of New London feels that beautiful rusted out piece of junk is worth assessed at $1,753, of which is almost worth $2,000. So I kindly showed them the bill of sale a while ago and said, the assessment on this has got to be wrong. "Oh, no, that's what it's in the book for." I go, "Well, the state of Connecticut, here's my tax receipt from motor vehicle saying they figure it for $1,300. Well, they're wrong. I go, "Well, how can DMV be wrong when they set that tax bill for what a car's worth I don't care what they set it for. We know what that car's worth. That's what you're paying taxes on."
This is somebody in the tax office talking to you like this?
Yeah. And I said, "Well, I really have a problem paying taxes on a car that's not worth $2,000. And I got ticked off and I said, "Well, I tell you what, why don't you just buy the car for me for $2,000? We're not going to buy it for you for $2,000 because it's only worth $700 too." But that's what I'm talking about. Their ability to put what something is worth is so opposite schemed and misleading. It's ridiculous. I've seen some cars down there a while back. I had a BMW that was probably worth $10,000 that they felt was worth $2,000. I was happy on that time, but there's no commonality to their situation.
There's no common sense to this situation.
So that's the other half of the problem.
I seem to remember.
It's even just like coming up now, you can go down and complain on your house value, on the assessment. People don't realize though, and I fought the city on this and won. You know I won.
Oh,
Lot
yeah.
knows I won. They assessed my house wrong. They were double taxing it. They had two tax bills on the same property. I went round and round with them, and here's people that it's just simple math. Math doesn't change. I showed them 50 million ways. They wanted me to hire a lawyer.
Maybe you need to show them in Common Core way.
I don't know. I don't know how to do Common Core. I probably would have got beat there. But regular math I'm very good at. So, get into a big battle with them. I'm wrong. Have to take them to a judge. A judge read both papers in 10 minutes and said, "So what's the problem?" I've reviewed the documents. What's the problem? "Oh, well, he's wrong." "No, he's right. You're charging him double taxes every year. You owe him $5,000. And they were like, dropped their jaw on the ground. "No, you don't understand." He goes, "Look, I've had another judge check this. I've added it. You're wrong." So then they go, "Dennis, well, we'll pay you over time." The judge went, "No, you won't. He already paid you. He's been paying you for the last 4 years. Cut him a check." It took me another year to get the money out of him. But when they want your money, it's like, better do it. The point on that is, though, anybody in the city of New London who disagrees with their taxes can go to the judge pro se and make a tax appeal. If the city won't work it out, it costs you nothing
But
to go
don't
there.
we have a tax appeal system set up in
I
our
went to
city
them.
that only goes into session around tax time and you have to make an appointment? And if you don't get there within that time limit, that you're automatically wrong and they're right and you're going to pay.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying though is if you go to the town appeal first and they deny you, you have the right to take them to court.
See, I never knew that.
Yeah, and it stays that process. Now, it might take you a year or so to get it done, and if they're charging all that time, a judge will, if you're correct, order them to pay you back.
Now, if you go to a judge and you get the paperwork in motion, and even if it takes a year to get it settled, aren't they not supposed to be able to use that money you send them? Doesn't that money have to be in a certain spot till the judgment is set?
No, Not really sure about that,
No.
because I believe they used my taxes over that 4 years.
Well,
But
I'm sure they use everybody's
yeah,
taxes.
but they
And-
did have to compensate back the taxes, which, they were angry about, and I told the attorney, sorry.
Well, they were wrong.
I said, we didn't have to go to court. I showed this to you 50 million times. I've had an accountant add it up for you. It's not rocket scientists here.
See, part of the problem, I think, is people have gotten to the point where they're so passive about what's going on around them that there's people out there, whether it's, the tax office, city people, counselors, Board of Ed members, whatever, that when they want something done, they pretty much know that they're not going to get a lot of resistance. And people are just going to accept it. And that's part of what the lot group is all about, is
Right.
saying, no, we're not going to accept
No,
it.
because-
You're going to have to show us better than what you're telling us. Don't tell us, show us why this is this way.
And you know something? All the stuff that the Board of Ed claims they need money for, and even the budget, is supposed to be the line item stuff that you can go through line by line and say, all right, well, this is what we spent and this is what we need it for. Okay, like last year with the business department, business people in downtown, they fought the city center district.
Yeah.
They fought very hard and won and proved to them, no, you don't have to have money set aside for police officers you're not hiring this year. You don't
Because
need
you
it in the
already
budget.
got money in the
Right.
system.
And they
for
showed
the
a
ones
lot
that
of other
left.
areas that they didn't need money for. And graciously, the council said, you're right.
But
They worked on it. And the school board still said, we need it for the kids.
But what they did was I thought a really great thing, but it comes down to the same thing again as I was saying earlier. It came to a point where what was about to happen was going to affect all those businesses downtown. It was going to affect people to where it was going to be whether they were going to be able to keep the business or not. That they were at a point where they couldn't pay more.
Right.
So they got together, they went to the council, and they said, if you do this, this is what we can promise you, not threaten you, but promise you is going to happen.
Right. A lot of those
So you think
businesses-
about this.
A lot of those businesses would have been forced to close down.
And the council was backed
and
up
leave.
against the wall. Mayor was backed up against the wall.
Well,
Because they knew they were right.
and you know what?
But it shouldn't have to come to that.
Exactly. They know how strained people are in London as is. There's no new developments coming. What is it now? 14 years Fort Trumbull was going to have something done that still isn't done?
20. I think it's close to 20.
Yeah, whatever it is. It's an ongoing, every election cycle, somebody's going to do something that never gets done. It's the same old BS all the time. Oh, we're going to do a lot in the waterfront. Nothing gets done. You know what?
It's all
It's
talk.
all is, please elect me. I'm telling you to your face that I'm lying to you, and please believe my lie, because when I get in, I'm not doing it anyways. So.
Well, I thought this last election, people would have looked at everything and said, they're not producing. They say they're gonna, but they're not. And every time they're coming out with stuff that we've already been down that road. And now they think, we can go down that road again. Well, maybe it's time to look at that stuff in a different way.
Yeah, and I
Don't
think,
be looking
you know
at it
what?
the same old way.
Other than just one party in this town, the other party's got to start stepping it up. And matter of fact, the other two parties need to start stepping it up. Instead of being like, I met with a bunch of people after the election, they're all fired up, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to do this, come on, Andy, charge.
We got
you know
this.
What I said to them? I said this, I'm glad to help anybody, but you show me you're going to put in effort before you take up a lot of my time to do stuff.
Well, you had to
And within 2 weeks, we had all these meetings, in 2 weeks everybody's like, oh, well, you know what?
let's wait and see. And,
There's no waiting and see. Seriously though, Dennis, there's a war it's kind of like a war atmosphere going on in this city, this state, and this, that people got to get ticked off enough to fight for our own freedoms. We came from England so we wouldn't be taxed to death. And Connecticut, everything they do, my realty license this year, it's not a tax, it's a fee.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
a
love the
three-letter
play
lie
on
word
words.
for tax. And now it's called a fee. That went up. The bar exam this year in July, $750 is not enough, so let's get 1,000.
Whenever they tell you it's a fee, you need to think to yourself, okay, this is a fee. Usually a fee is like if I go to Home Depot and I buy something for my house, and that's the only time I spend money for that certain item because, I got it. But if every year I have to go back there and pay for the same item that I already have,
Yeah.
it kind of goes from a fee to a tax.
Right.
So
And even now at Home Depot, New Connecticut, You know what now? If you get if you get paint and you use the whole can up and you use all the paint, You're getting charged 75 cents a can, disposable paint fee, even if you use up all the paint.
Well, now, I can't agree with you on that one. I agree that that's a good rule.
Well, don't
because
call it a fee. Call it what it is. It's a disposal tax.
Yeah, exactly, and it's for the state. It's not
Yeah.
for Home Depot.
No, no, it's not going for Home Depot. I was shocked
That
when I got it
75
paid.
cents is kind of like they're charging you that so for their services of getting rid of the paint. Now, there's a lot of people, you, me, I can't think of anybody out there that you can't go in their basement and find a can of paint that's been there for 10 or 15, 20 years.
If I painted something,
And you got nowhere to take it,
Yeah.
especially in New London.
Well, I guess New London's rule is it has to dry out in the can.
You ever not have, look, I've been doing the paint business for
See, I knew I'd get in your craw now.
forever. I've been at it easily 40 years. Now,
You're only 42. You started at 2?
yeah, I did. Instead of a rattle, I had a paintbrush.
Wow, that's impressive.
But you take a half a gallon of paint and you stick it outside with the cover off. First of all, you're going to hope you put it in a spot where the rain ain't going to get to
'cause
it.
it's gonna
Because
fill and
once
spill.
it fills up and starts spreading over, then you got paint all over the place. And you wait for that to dry. You go back a month later and you look at it and you touch it and you say, oh, I think it's dry. Well, a half inch below where you're touching
Yep.
is not dry.
Nope.
And it takes for friggin' ever
Yep.
for that stuff to dry. So to be able to have some place to get rid of paint, and that's going to help the environment, it's really not. See, that's what I mean. There's some things that once in a while, it's like they have their brain opens up and they say, oh, here's something. And even if they're going to make a little money off it, it's something that's going to benefit the people.
As long as that money is going for what they appropriate it for.
I don't even know what they do with that money.
Yeah, well, I guess it's supposed to be like you said, to dispose of paint that you don't use. But
I'm sure there's a company out there somewhere because a lot of people have forgotten in this country that we have people that come up with all kinds of ways to make money and to help people. Now, I'm sure they can take somebody probably built a company, hopefully in this country, and they take all that old paint and they do something with it to produce new paint.
yeah,
So that's a good thing.
yeah, absolutely.
But it's some of the things that the group has fought on. I also want, this is kind of, it's stuck in my head. We were talking about people in the group that step up.
Yep.
I mean, for instance, Diane. Now, here she is. She's doing 2 jobs.
Yep.
And they're not easy jobs. Secretary and treasurer is a tough job. I mean, when something goes down and I couldn't remember what the hell, I got a note here on the thing. I was like, what the hell does that mean? And I said, hey, Diane, can you look in the records? And,
Yep.
So, but that's because you need more people there. If we had someone that was an accountant, say, hey, I'll join the group and I'll take over being treasurer. Or someone that does secretary type of work.
Right.
Come into the group and say, you know what, I'll take the
Yeah,
secretary part if you want.
ask everybody there to help Diane out by being at least the secretary. Take
Yeah.
notes, even maybe if or be like a co-secretary to help her out. So, so they get done and
And in this world, the way it is now, it's not like the old days where you can,
Yep.
whatever that machine is.
And
And
I think it was called a typewriter back then.
yeah, well, even after that, but anyways, now you got to have some kind of computer skills.
Absolutely.
So that takes a step up. Folks, this group is there not for their own pleasure. They're there to help you and to protect you. I know sometimes there's a lot of people out there that used to say, well, you're just a bunch of naysayers. Well, you know what? Those 6 questions you voted yes on, we were naysayers then. And now look what's happening.
And they're starting to come back and haunt you.
That's right. But now it's too late.
Yep.
So you really should, if anything's bothering you, if you don't, one day you wake up and you say, well, you know what? We can't go out to eat twice a week because we can't afford it now. Now they want to take, to get $500,000 to work on a municipal parking lot from the state in a grant, we got to spend $1.2 million.
Yep.
Now, some people think that's a great deal. Is it really? Do you have $1.2 million? You can say, hey, you know what? Let's redo the whole parking lot.
Yeah. Well, we can't keep
And in the same time, lose 40 spots.
Well, Larry Humple made a good point the other night. The garage downtown, which has not been controlled by the city, they had a manager there, and he brought in money, cleaned up the place, saved money on the lights and everything. Well, now the city's got a genius idea. Hey, it's doing so good, we're going to take it over.
What?
Oh yeah, they're going to put a city employee in there to run the parking garage now, and get rid of the manager that's done a good job there because it'll save money for the city. This guy was making money, costing the city no money. It was paying his own salary and everything. And this is just the city again trying to make government control everything. And that's a problem. The government everywhere is getting too big.
I think there's something else in play.
Well, probably so, but you never know what's behind the curtain until it's...
Because as it is right now, we do own the parking lot, I believe. We just don't
garage.
run it, the parking garage. We just don't run it. We
But
have
Larry
a company
said
do it.
That commission, they were doing very well. They were making
were.
money. There was no reason to change a good thing. And maybe actually they should have looked at other things that they could have owned and ran independently to make the city money.
Here's another example. The city has a hard enough time maintaining what they got. And this is what scares a lot of people when they talk about progress. Because you don't stop and think, that sounds great. But all the other stuff that goes with that may not sound so great. So why take over something? I mean, you own it, you got somebody running it, they're making you money. Why do you want to mess with that? Why? Unless there's something going on. Now, if you take into consideration that the museum's coming in, Ranowski's getting a, what do you call it? Where everybody meets, it's, you do your reservations, all that kind of crap. I can't think of the name. But he's getting a whole new building. The pedestrian bridge is back. For a while there, they were telling us it was going to be on one side to the other. Now they're coming right out and saying, oh no, plans we're looking at is it's going back over to the garage.
Yep.
They tried that once before. It got shot down by a lot of you people. And now they're going to do it again. You know why they're going to do it again? Because they figure, well, we're all Democratic now.
Yep.
Not we're all Democratic, but the city's a Democratic city.
And we'll get it through.
So we'll have no problem.
Well, let's hope this time when they build that
let's
bridge.
look a little. Wait a minute. Let's look a little bit ahead. What you said about the city wanting to take over the garage. How much easier is it for the state to do what they want to do if the city is taking care of the garage, and the council is the one that's going to vote on what's going on with it?
Right.
There was a time, if I remember right, where the state was talking about they own that parking garage, they gave it to the city. Now, if it fits their plans to own that again, to do what they want to do with all this other stuff,
Right.
how easy it to make a transaction?
Right. Gets a free access to buy it back from the city with nobody in between that can hold up the transaction. You're right.
So I could be totally wrong.
You may, but it sounds like something that would happen in the city.
And this is going to come up. I don't know if it will make it to this council. It might go to the next one. But if it goes to the next council, this pedestrian bridge, then it's going to be that much closer to happening.
Yep.
But has anybody thought about what's involved just for that change and that pedestrian bridge? Has anyone thought about how much money they say, oh, it ain't going to cost the city anything? That's a bunch of crap, because already they want the city to
The
upkeep it and
studies
secure
and
it.
everything costs the city money, so that's just a...
But let's go another step further. Now they're talking about redirecting traffic. Sounds like a small thing, right? But it's not. You got signs, you got painting lines, you got revamping roads,
Right.
you got fixing roads. Now there's a thing that came up with the council about, I forget what it was, 12 million maybe, or something to fix up sidewalks and all this. Where are they going to start? Downtown.
Of course, yep.
So this is going to cost money.
Yep.
Who's going to give it to us? I can't picture the state giving it to us.
Well, the state did mention about giving each city in the state of Connecticut, city and town, so much money to redevelop their roads and streets and all that stuff, which kind of amazes me because Daniel Malloy is bragging about how broke we are, but he's willing to give repairs for streets and sidewalks and all that to each town.
Yeah, but wait till it comes time to collect.
Well, the problem is he doesn't have the money, so where's he going to get it? Either sales tax is going to go up
Sounds
another
good.
0.5% or another tick. He's already talking. He wants tolls back throughout the whole state.
And he wants to
get money
raise
in.
he wants to raise taxes on the
Yep.
gasoline.
Yep. already. You know, we're the highest gas tax in the country. I mean, everybody here is happy because the gas is like 187. My brother in Myrtle Beach called me; it's 137. So you know.
Well, that's another thing. There's an old saying goes, whenever they create a tax, it's forever.
Yeah.
I've never heard
those
it.
aren't temporary taxes.
No.
They never go away.
No, and that's,
Income tax, Lowell Weicker, income tax is going to be a temporary thing. It's only going to be here for a little while to get the state rolling again. The state got rolling again, and we still have income tax.
anybody that believes that when they tell you, oh, this is just a temporary tax, and they believe that,
No.
they need to go to a doctor.
Yep, and it seems to
Well,
me
you got a call.
that people who do not know how to balance budgets and use it properly, their key word is we need more money. So we don't know how to spend the money correctly, but let's get more money from the taxpayers. We'll just keep throwing money at the problem, Dennis, and it's going to go away.
Yeah,
it won't.
well, it
Let's
doesn't.
see if this is for us. Good evening, caller. You're on lot.
Hi, good evening, guys. Hi, Dennis. It's Brian. How are you?
Hey,
guys?
Brian, what's up, my friend?
Hey, listen, I watched your show the other night when you had on the guy from the Board of Education. And
Yeah,
that was very
Jason.
educational to me. I didn't realize that there's so much behind. It's just, and the one thing you didn't touch on, I was a little disappointed, is you didn't address the administrative costs. You know, there's so many administrators in the New London school systems, and why do they have to have it structured like that? What's that model based on? And I'm going to hang up and listen to your comments. But the other thing I heard today is that the state of Rhode Island is thinking about putting a toll booth up in North Stonington and charging 18-wheelers $18 a truck coming in and out of this into Rhode Island so that they can rebuild their infrastructure, and which means these guys are going to get off the highway, drive through the side road. It's just crazy. But I heard that today, and when you guys started talking about where's the money going to come from and how do you generate that kind of income where you're in such a challenged municipality like New London is. I was downtown tonight, and there's more storefronts down there that are dark than are lit. I hate to say it. I mean, there's a lot of
it's
businesses,
true.
restaurants, but I was like, oh my God, if I was here visiting from somewhere, I'd be like, you know what, we're not stopping here. We're going to keep going. You know, we're going to find something that's a little bit more lit up at least. And it's not the people that live here, but it's the government that wants theirs before they'll allow somebody to try to make their business work so they can contribute. And that's where I think the problem lies, is, you know what, you got to give them a chance. And I'm not talking about tax abatements for major projects or anything, but somebody's just trying to get a startup business. Show me where you can buy a New London T-shirt, where you can buy a New London coffee cup. You know, you're talking about bringing all these tourists in. There's no local business that, you know, does those kind of things. And it's just, you know, there's so much. And it's like you both had said, Andy said it too. You know, they took those poor people's houses 20 years ago down in Fort Trumbull. Huey's could still be open. Those people could still be living there. The cats would still be living down there.
And it'd still be getting taxes.
And nothing has come of it. No money's been generated, but the city is liable for an empty lot. It makes no sense. I'm going to hang up. I just want to give you some food for thought. Stay warm, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
Keep your pets inside this weekend.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Good point. Actually, there's, I think, some kind of law that on weather like this, you can't keep your pets out for 15 minutes.
Right.
And in this weather we're getting the next couple of days, you shouldn't let them out just long enough to pee. But he touched on a few things. The administrative side of the Board of Ed or the school board or the school, if you look at that in past budgets, you'll see the last time I looked, this was a couple of years ago, there was over 10 people making over $100,000. Now, those people have one or two secretaries, you know, and then you get to other towns where you'll have a superintendent that will be in charge of, you know, a huge district.
Right.
And so that's where the problem is. It's always the high end is the administration side. And it stays like that because these people, you know, they're going to push for you to vote for it. Even in a large probably a large portion of people don't even live here, but they're still going to go out there and push for you to raise your taxes so that they can make more money.
Absolutely.
You know, but yet in their own hometown, if their school wants more money, they would probably be the ones out there saying, "Oh, no, 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 no."
Yeah, you're not taking my
You know,
money.
so
Yeah, it's
that's the kind of things that LOT has tried to get from, school board budgets and stuff. That's a constant fight. Transparency is a word that people in this city that run the city or run the schools really don't know what it means.
well, here's a fine example itself. Lighthouse Inn gets itself in trouble, with taxes and a bank still involved. That bank's going to be the happiest bank in the world because the city bailed them out and let them off the hook. The city should have said, "You owe the taxes to the city. You're the bank. Too bad." Or you're paying the taxes.
Let them sell it.
No, it goes to a tax sale that nobody bids on. The city ends up owning it, and they lose all the money from the taxes that are there. It's not producing any tax revenue now because the city owns it.
Well,
And-
actually,
And now I guess they got somebody that's going to try to
that's,
come in and
what's the word they use? Preferred development status. And already, I forget what it was, but he was looking for something more than what he ordered. He got the place for I think $1.
Well, he's gonna also have-
and he's going to have
tax abatements for
however long.
what was it, 10 years? 10 years.
10 years or more.
So-
And that's a situation where, see, Brian touched on a thing where about taxing people and stuff, like the Rhode Island toll booth thing for the truckers. Before any group, whether it's a council from a city or it's the people in Hartford or it's a school board, to me, it doesn't seem like they say, okay, well, we want to tax this for this amount of money. All right, we'll do a study on how much money we're going to get, how much money we could get, what we could do with that money, all these studies, and they're paying for these studies.
Right.
But nobody's saying, all right, well, before I vote on this, I want to see a study on how it's going to affect the people in this city or in this town,
Right.
or how it's going to affect the truck drivers.
Or
I want
af-
to see that study.
Or after we've raised enough money to projected to do everything we're going to do, then what is the end goal? Are we going to take out that tax, that toll booth, and say, okay, we raised the money we want. It's only they'll only put up temporary booths. No, they're not, because it's going to be used and used and used, and probably eventually, like most programs, misused, misappropriated, spent other places. And
No.
Brian's right. All those truckers got to do is get off and go either Route 1 or another route and
Now,
just blow by that toll.
Is there somebody in the Rhode Island government that is saying, well, look, this is one of the things that is probably going to happen if we put this toll in. They're going to go off the highway. They're going to go through rural towns, which increases the chances of accidents, which increases the wear and tear on those roads that weren't built to handle
That type of
tractor
traffic.
trailers. It's going to affect people noise level, all those kind of things. Okay, so we're going to get $18 a truck, if that's whatever it is. But what are we going to do with that money? Are we going to use that money to rebuild neighborhoods that get ruined by the trucks going through? Right. Or, so this is, I don't know if these people even look at this kind of stuff when they're coming up with these ideas.
They don't think the plan through to conclusion. Oh, it sounds good on paper, let's just do it. It'll work out. We'll get the kinks out of it while we're going. And that's really bad because it really affects the taxpayers long run.
I like it when they say, and they've done this in our town with the school boards. They say, well, we need more money. We need another $2.3 million this year. Besides, it's only like 89 cents a day.
Yeah, okay.
And people say, oh, shit, I can afford 89. Oh, sorry about that. They say, oh, I can afford 89 cents a day. Really?
And the thing that people don't realize, though, Dennis, on those school board budgets, once they go up,
yeah,
they can't go down.
Like taxes.
Because they claim every year, oh, well, it's a state mandate that if we get this much this year, that's the floor for next year. That's what they do. They keep raising that floor, raising that floor, raising that floor. And it's got to stop. I mean, it's ridiculous.
So I've always said that I've always wanted to see in the group, we have, they have liaisons for different things in the council and stuff, where I'd like to see something like that set up within the LOT group, where you have certain people that will go to the Board of Ed meetings.
Yep.
And then come back and let the group know what's going on. And then if the group wants to do something or wants to say something, that person now becomes
The
a
spokesperson to go there.
spokesperson for the LOT group in the Board of Ed situation.
Yep.
Had the same thing for the city council.
Yep. That could
And-
be happening someplace really close to me that you don't even know about. When you miss meetings, you can get voted into positions.
No.
That's a little lot
That
inside
does,
joke,
yeah, and
folks,
that does, that
See,
does
what
happen.
happens if I miss a meeting because I'm sick or something, I find myself on a show, and sometimes twice a month for the payback. So I try to be,
And that's another reason you want more people in the group, because of like shows like this.
Well, a lot of new people we're looking for new people to bring new ideas to
Yes.
the table. It's not that, you believe me.
And I know they got it. Brian touched on another thing too, driving through New London at night and seeing all this stuff. Now, when a new restaurant comes downtown, the lights are on, it's doing a great job, and I don't care what restaurant it is. You got some fantastic restaurants in New
Oh,
London.
absolutely.
But even they realize when they say, well, geez, it's costing me this much money to stay open. Maybe I'm going to cut back on one day. Or maybe I'm going to close a little early on certain days.
Or the other worst choice is, maybe it's time to look for another town which is a little cheaper to operate my business in and move there. Restaurants, if they have a following, and they're not too far out of where they were before, can usually drag that following with them.
You hear some councilors and the mayor and past mayor say they put all their eggs into the basket of education. This whole magnet school thing, we're going to be the only district with a complete magnet school thing. And while they're saying this, you have towns around us that are looking for, Groton right now is looking for a federal grant for 3 years to turn 2 of their schools into magnet schools. One of them's going to be a STEM school. One of them's going to be like Nathan Hale, arts and whatever type of school.
So now New London comes in direct competition.
Yeah, and the reason they're doing this, one of the reasons is Groton is trying to keep their kids in their own town.
Yep.
Now, when you jump into something this big, you need to have people sitting around looking at the negative side of what could happen. I don't care what people in this town tell me, and have told us before, that you guys are too negative, you got to think positive, and positive things will happen. Maybe. But if you don't look at the other side of it,
if you don't look at the reality coin, what could happen if that plan of yours fails, then you have a problem.
So now you're going to have a situation in this town where you're going to have less kids coming here, which is going to affect the whole plan, because it's going to affect the kind of money.
You won't get
that's
enough people at the percentage level.
But you're also going to have a town with a mill rate that is very high. So tell me again why people are going to move here.
I wish I had an answer to that.
The city needs to look at how much money we bring in to our city with the people we have living here without state or federal help. Look at that sum of money and start trying to run their city with that amount of money. People are going to say, well, there's no way we can run the city with that amount of money. Stop finding a way. That's why we elected you.
Right.
To find a way to do that. Once we can do that, because we did it before the state sold their soul to the federal government, the city, try to find a way to get back there.
Yeah.
And then whatever you do get from the state or the federal government, that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Why is that so hard?
It shouldn't be that hard.
This is where you give me an answer.
Okay. Well, we are going off the air. Thank you very much for listening to LOT tonight, and we'll see you next Friday.